And we're all.
Good evening, Walt. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Sharon. How are you today?
I am good. You know why I'm good? Because spring is so close to popping. We had two beautiful days in a row.
Yes, I was outside today. I thought it was awesome. It was nice to walk around in a short sleeve shirt and just kind of enjoy the sunshine. And wow, what a great start to spring, right? First
Yep.
official day coming up next week, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Even though was it Sunday night, we had like a burst of snow move in.
Yeah, snow
That
squall
was,
comes through. Hey,
yeah, go
anything
figure.
can
Welcome
happen in
March.
March.
That's right. It's
Anything can happen in March, that's for
my
sure.
my husband's birthday is this month, and we a long couple years ago, the family did a little like, let's rate the months of the year. And it ended up being that March was the worst month for everybody, even though it was his birthday month.
Oh, it's one of the more unpredictable ones, right? And
True.
we always like predictability in our world.
That's right.
Kind of keeps the status quo status quo.
Yep. And what a great kind of like segue into what we wanted to talk about today, right? Is, spring is upon us, and we love learning, and we have found mentors and uh, professionals and gurus, and one of them is somebody that we listen to often. So I'm going to let Walt sort of share an introduction, and then I will go ahead and share a quote.
So, what we thought we'd talk about tonight is a quote by someone that, I've been reading his stories and his quotes and listening to his recordings of his speaking events, and his name is Jim Rohn. And Jim is considered the godfather of the self-help industry. He's a legend in personal development and widely considered one of America's foremost business philosophers, largely because of his extraordinary way of thinking, his ability to put complicated, simple words together in order to capture the imagination of the audiences that he speaks in front of. And, one of his mentees was Tony Robbins, someone who many of us have also grown up with. So, just to share some of the quotes that you may have heard over the course of time that, came from Jim Rohn, one of the classics: don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. And one more quick one before we talk a little bit about the seasons, because Jim had a philosophy about seasons, and he's available on Audible as a way of listening to his soliloquies. Um, but either you run the day or the day runs you. And how many times can we say that the day runs us, right? I know I've had some of those days. So, um, Sharon, that's Jim Rohn. Why don't we talk a little bit about the quote that we found?
Absolutely. This one I'm going to read because I don't know them by heart. So we're going to take advantage of the spring. Every year after a long winter comes the spring. This is a time where opportunities arise. Flowers blossom and creatures come out of their hibernation. The same thing applies within your life. After a challenging time, you'll be faced with a great opportunity. It is your duty to take full advantage of the springs when they pop up. This is your moment to plant the seeds of greatness to come. You never see all the beauty that is life and nature on this planet. Decide not to awaken one year in the spring. It does because it is meant to do so. Hold your own existence to that same standard. Make your springs the springboard to getting where you want to go.
Wow,
It's powerful.
very powerful. Says a lot. And, there's a lot of analogies and a lot of things that, a lot of us do in the springtime, right? We sow the seeds per se, in our homes, in our gardens. I have a friend who's an avid gardener who probably started I'm going to say a little while ago, months, maybe a couple months ago, planting seeds. He grows tomatoes every year and he starts the seedlings in his basement with lights on them and grows them from seed and then plants them in his garden, as I'm sure many other people do. I don't think this is a unique thing to just one person, just maybe one person I know. And if you think about it, right, we're always looking to plant new seeds and then take care of them and nurture them and water them, eliminate the weeds, and then we watch them grow and prepare them for summer's hot sun. So the spring is such a transitional month, an opportunity for reflection and growth, right?
Yep, absolutely. And as you know, personally, I am not a gardener, so I appreciate all the people out there who spend hours and hours on growing. And I think pulling the weeds is key, right? And in loving kind of the fruit of their labor, if you will, right? And so while I may have like the black thumb when it comes to planting and growing, although I have 4 plants I've kept alive for over 2 years now, um, I do that with my self-care. I have to plant seeds. I have to water it. I have to watch growth. I have to absolutely pull the weeds. And there are seasons in my health. And I think it's a great just visual. How much time do we spend preparing our homes, our outside, our yards, but we don't translate that to our self-care.
Yeah, I think the concept of pulling weeds is kind of the equivalent of coping with drama, right? Wouldn't don't we wish that all the drama that we had in our life was as easy as pulling a weed out of the ground? I mean, just think about how much simpler life would be as if I could just pull a weed and throw it in a trash bag and put it
Yeah,
out by the curb once a week or make a compost pile to turn it into a positive down the road, right?
yeah,
Um, and I think that's kind of what spring symbolizes as flowers bloom. The daffodils are certainly out in my area. The tulips and the other bulbs will be coming up very shortly. And then everything else, will follow suit. The leaves will turn green and, that spring, the buzz that we get in the air, and, lest we forget the Phillies in opening day. How could I
yeah.
not bring that into the conversation? But I think there's a lot of synergies between personal growth and goal setting and the changing of season, right? I mean, it's something that we allows us to reflect just as much as it allows us to act,
Yeah.
whether it be in our lawns or from our seedlings that we have in our basement to put into our garden or the garden that we're going to tend to that reaps a harvest, whether it's 2 or 3 tomato plants or something, gigantic that we share and potentially sell. It's all about that desire to bring life to something, right? So, you know, and as you said, you bring life to a plan or you help people bring life to a plan, right? So
Yeah.
pretty similar.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that spring brings to that aspect?
For me, there's this energy that people start to feel. And then a lot of times, again, it's this weed idea. And I don't mean to go back to that, but they look back at their January, February, and they go, oh, we had the resolution. I'm going to do it. This is the year. And they find themselves stuck in the season of winter, of darkness, of sadness, and cold weathers, and lots of excuses and drama triangle, right? But this is that time where we can physically feel the energy. We see the kids out on the streets. And, I'm in a tank top today, right? And, maybe you're looking at yourself going, uh-oh, right? Or, women will color their hair differently or just change it up. And, I find that as a physician, patients spend a lot of time focused on other things and give it their attention, but they don't focus on the inner work. And I think when we focus on the inner work with our mindset, with our habits, and choosing to do the hard things, right? It's not easy to grow a garden. It's really not easy because I tried once. I grew little baby tomatoes. They were this big and they were delicious. Was it tomatoes or strawberries? Doesn't matter. But didn't do it again. But the effort that goes in reaps that reward. And what if you just did, a few percentage points of that self-care? And one of the things I kind of just will throw it right back to you, Walt, is the idea that I've shared with clients is that when we're prepared with a lot of tools, we can weather the storms of life, right? Or the seasons of life. So coming into winter for myself these last several years has not been as traumatic or scary because I've got my tools. I'm well versed in reaching out for support, kind of like the tentacles of the octopus. And I can hold on during the winter storms, and I can let go and be a little bit more free, because I keep using my tools. Gardeners use tools. What can we do to offer that support to other people?
I just think it translates, you translate what you do into what you are. So if you are out there, and again, this is metaphorically, not necessarily always figuratively, but if you're out there planting seeds, if you're out there nurturing those seeds, if you're out there fertilizing those seeds, and if you're out there moving the weeds or pulling the weeds out of the way so that the seeds can grow, then you're going to enjoy the fruit of your labor. You're going to enjoy what that harvest brings. And I think the encouragement here is more of the visual of spring is just this big awakening that we have in front of us. Daylight savings time, walking comfortably, not wearing the overcoat, the glasses, or I'm sorry, my light that I wear when I have to walk in the wintertime because
Right.
it's dark in the evening when I could go out there. Being able to go out and listen to a ball game while I'm walking. Some of these things that I look forward to in this time of year, um, that are commingled with a self-care plan or a self-care agenda, just like mapping out, the landscaping things that need to be done, or all the tools that I need on a weekend to cut the grass, collect the grass, mulch, weed, whatever the case may be, just so that, I can feel like, wow, because you get to see the fruit of your labor, right? When you plant the seeds, they grow, they
Yep.
blossom into plants, into flowers, maybe trees, and you can take great pride in that. And sometimes we can look in the mirror and take great pride in the things that we do for ourselves. And there's nothing like a nice spring day to help fortify those plans and
Yep.
take those plans into action.
Yep. That's beautifully said. And I'm going to deviate a little bit because as you're sharing this, I'm thinking what a joy it is for me to plant seeds in other people. And I water them and I fertilize, and watching another person do their self-care is like better than anything else that I've ever done. Yes, it started with me, but if you're not ready yet to do your self-care, encourage somebody else to do theirs and just watch how fulfilling it is. Or find that buddy system to do it with, because if you fill somebody else's cup, you'll fill yours. So again, a little side note there, but we talk about planting seeds within people to help them, because then when they're ready, they'll latch on and then they'll grow. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're planting seeds of hope, with ideas, with things that resonate hopefully with everybody. So that's all I have to say. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Walt, why don't you wrap us up for tonight?
So I think that the story of tonight is, hey, if you have never read any of Jim Rohn's quotes, or if you have never listened to any of Jim Rohn's um, personal growth, or motivational talks, I'd highly recommend get them on Audible or Spotify and just take a listen, because there's a lot of good common sense in those things. But ultimately, it's spring. Plant the seeds in the ground, plant the seeds in your home, plant the seeds in your heart, and let them grow and enjoy.
Fabulous. Thanks, Walt. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week, okay?
Take care.
Bye-bye.